Hi guys, my name is Danny, and today we're going to be talking about the time I left my alcoholic boyfriend. I want you guys to grab your teacups because we're going to be spilling and sipping some major tea today, so cheers, hope you're ready. I know what I'm going to be talking about is not a light situation. It's actually a pretty scary situation for people to be in and a really confusing situation to be in. And I realize this, but I kind of process trauma with humor. So I hope that helps. Because I know if you clicked on this video, you are desperately trying to have someone to relate to be in a similar situation, because I did the exact same thing. I was on YouTube Googling story time after story time, husband alcoholic, boyfriend alcoholic, like what should I do? And there really wasn't anything out there. There was things that helped, but there wasn't a really truthful like story time, like I'm the one I'm gonna tell you, like this is the one I'm gonna tell you. So here we go. Let me first start off by saying I was with my ex for almost 7 years. 7 years together and 6 years living together. Like, we were definitely the epitome of this, like, a very comfortable couple together. And it wasn't always like this. I actually knew him before he became an alcoholic and before he really hit, his depression. And so what I'm about to say was not something that I've dealt with for 7 years. That's not the case at all. If anything, I've dealt with it, probably the last year of our relationship, I was really struggling with this. Okay, so, okay, where do I begin? Okay, I moved out of state, away from my friends and my family, to be with him. He had a job opportunity, and of course I was gonna go with him. I had my doubts, not because I knew about his alcoholism. He hid that very well, let me just make that a point. But I just had my doubts because I just didn't know if I was gonna be with him. I loved him and I adored him, so of course I went, but I did have like something in my gut just told me something wasn't right. And I later found out what that was. We drove from midnight to 8 in the morning overnight to get to this new state. And he had to go to work. He pulled an all-nighter and then he went to work. And then I slept. Like, it was a whole ordeal. And I wake up to my phone ringing, and basically somebody telling me that, hi, this is my ex's boss. Your boyfriend is in the hospital. He just had a seizure at work. That was how my first 24 hours of moving away from my friends and family was. I woke up to a phone call that my boyfriend had a seizure. And I was like, what the fuck? We are young people. It's not common for someone to just have a seizure. So I get there at the hospital, of course I'm worried. I'm asking the doctor all these questions, and they kept kicking me out. And that really irritated me. I was like, he's been my boyfriend for almost 7 years, like I deserve to know what's going on, and like they really just wanted to keep it hush hush from me. And I kind of understood it had to do with drinking. At first I had no idea. I thought it was exhaustion. I thought he was exhausted from driving all night and then going to work. But the doctor kept hinting at something else. He said alcohol. And I knew he was a heavy drinker. I didn't know he was an alcoholic at that point. I literally was just completely naive to the whole situation. And I was just like, I just couldn't believe it. So he comes home, denies, that he had any alcohol, like it was exhaustion, and he hasn't been feeling well. I believed him. Of course I did. And then things just got worse from there. And if you know anything about alcoholics, you know having a seizure means that you're really deep into it. You are deep in. And that's really rock bottom. Having a seizure from a horrible withdrawal is really rock bottom. But I was so naive to this. I haven't had any alcoholics in my family, so this was just news to me. The majority of our relationship, I didn't know he was an alcoholic until the last 4 months prior to me leaving him. That's when things kind of started to click and like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, wow, look at that. Like, so a time that I can recall was I was sitting on the couch and he was in his office, which is very important. He used to lock himself away in his office a lot, and it used to irritate me that he wouldn't, come in the living room, spend time with me, but like he had his office and he was very private in there. And he came out, he kind of stumbled out and fell on the carpet. He like passed out on the carpet face down. And I was like, man, he's exhausted. Like work is really drilling him, like he's exhausted. And not even 5 minutes later, he's just puking all over the carpet. Just puked. And I was like, what the fuck? So I roll him over, like I'm trying to clean up the puke. I had grabbed a bowl for him to puke in, and he's just stuttering and slurring and just like, oh, it's bad Indian food. This Indian food is really, like he just kept blaming his like takeout food. And like a dumbass, I believed him. I couldn't believe, I was like, God, I'm like, you are never ordering from this Indian place ever again. And like the puke smelled off to me. I know that's disgusting, but we're here to be honest. It was disgusting. And I just remember cleaning it and being like, oh, something is like not right with this. And so then me eventually finding out. I went into his office out of curiosity and kind of went through his things, and bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle was hidden in backpacks, boxes, his suitcase, and it wasn't basically the hardest stuff you can get, like Everclear and like vodka, liters. I'm talking bottles that are this big. Tons of them. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I confronted him about it, and we had to talk about it. And we were gonna decide that we were gonna work through this together, because I loved him. And things just got worse. It got worse because I was with somebody that refused to get professional help. And that's something I really want to reiterate. There's only so much you can do with somebody if they refuse to get help. You can't force them to go see a psychiatrist. You can't force them to go to the doctor. You can't force them to do anything. They have to do it on their own. I really had to learn that the hard way. I actually used to, every single day, measure out how much alcohol he could have in a day so he wouldn't have a seizure again. And I was doing that willingly, measuring up with vodka and giving it to him at the end of the night. And it was like that for several weeks. And I did it because I loved him. It's really a hard situation to be in, so I understand if you are in this very similar situation that I'm in right now. It is so hard. Trust me, it took me months and months and months. And on top of alcoholism comes with lying and hiding and sneaking and just shutting yourself out. And I didn't need that when I've already moved away from all my friends and all my family. That was hard enough as is. And then on top of it, I have to deal with someone who's a high-functioning alcoholic, but who is also just belligerent. I remember me talking to him about it and being like, if I catch you drinking, I'm gonna punish you. And I know that sounds sexual, trust me, it was not sexual. I remember he had a collection of Pokemon cards he adored, and I said, when I catch you, I'm ripping up one of your Pokemon cards. And that put the fear of God in him. Not me threatening to leave, but me ripping up his Pokemon cards put the fear into him to be like, oh shit, okay. So he's like, I'm gonna go get my charger. Right after we had this discussion, I have to go to my car to get my charger. And I was like, okay. He goes outside, and I go to the opposite end of the house to watch him. He goes in the car, he takes out a bottle, pours vodka into a water bottle. I saw him do this. And I kind of tapped on the window, like, tap, tap, motherfucker. And he looked, and he just knew he was caught. Not even 5 minutes after our discussion, he was already trying to get alcohol, which is not funny. That's not funny. I was actually really disappointed. I wasn't angry, I was just really disappointed. And comes back in the house, I rip up a Pokemon card. I already know how awful this seems and just really messed up. I realize this, but currently me being in that moment, all I know is I care about this person and I will really do anything I can to help them. That was what was going through my head. So basically, months go by of me just being unhappy, gaining weight like crazy, my anxiety is through the roof. I'm just stressed, I'm just like biting my nails down to nubs, like this whole thing has me so stressed out. And, you know, having a new job, trying to make new friends in a new state, like all of it was it was really hard to do. And just constantly worrying about him. Like, what am I gonna find if I come home? Him slumped over a chair, him puking again, like him laying in his own puke. Like, you go through these thoughts and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for you to constantly be worrying about somebody. That's not good for your mental health. Trust me. Trust me, it's not good for your mental health. I won't talk about big incidences like I watched him put his head through a wall in a drunken rage. That was the scariest time I've ever faced. Truly. Basically drunk off his ass, and he got mad that I said he was drunk, and he just went into a rage and he put his head through a wall. And that was one of the moments where I was like, I need to get out. I need to get out. And I tried multiple times to leave. It's so hard. It's so hard when they just are like begging you and pleading, I will get better, I will get better, I will do better, I will go to this, it's talk, 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 talk until you see the walk. And that's just how it is. So what really was the final straw for me after all of that? The final straw for me was Easter. And I was my first Easter away from my family. And I remember my uncle FaceTiming me, and I was trying so hard not to cry because right before they started FaceTiming me, I almost said his name. My ex tried sneaking 2 huge bottles of wine through his office window outside when he went grocery shopping. He begged me not to go with him. And I was wondering why. Like, what the hell? Why not? I always go grocery shopping with him. I always get snacks. And he's like, I'll get you snacks. You stay here. And I was like, okay. Like, that was already, like, the weird tip-off. But, like, when I heard, like, grocery bag crinkles from his office, when I didn't hear him come back, I was like, huh? Open the office door, see the 2 huge bottles of wine. I see him come around the corner, and his eyes are just this big. And he's like, and I was like, why do you have those? And he was like, it was a surprise. One was for you. He's like, they're for us for dinner tonight, and like, I wanted to surprise you. And like, him just fumbling over his words. And I just stood there, and I was just like, on Easter, you're gonna lie to me on Easter? Like, I wasn't even disappointed. I wasn't hurt. I was just straight up angry at this point. I went through so much shit forgave him. And he tried pulling this shit, and he's lying through his teeth saying, oh my god, they were on sale, they were at sale, they were out front, and I just grabbed 2 bottles, and like, it wasn't a big deal. But they were like huge bottles of wine. So I grabbed my coat, and I grabbed my keys, and I'm like, on sale out front, get in my car, and he's like, where were you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go see these bottles of wine that are on sale. He's shaking, visibly. His eyes are this big. And I'm like, this goddamn liar. I'm gonna call him out on his shit. So I drive, and on my way to the grocery store, which is just down the road, my phone's buzzing. And he's like, they weren't right out front. They're in the aisleway, where the wine is. I'm like, oh, but it's on sale, right? And he was like, yeah, it's on sale, like out front in the aisleway. Pull into the grocery store. I get another call. He didn't go to the grocery store. He went to the wine and liquor store. Just lie after lie after lie, and I go in there, they're not on sale. He got those 2 bottles of wine because I didn't know this till after our relationship ended. He got his license taken away because of a seizure, because they did a toxicology. And he got his license taken away, and I had no idea. This whole time I thought he lost it. And like basically him, visibly of age, going to a place and being like, oh, I forgot most of the time they were like, oh, you're fine, you can take it, like no big deal. So, it's making me all riled up thinking about it again. Easter was the last straw. Once I realized things being ruined because of him and his behavior and not willing to change. Moving to a new state. Ruined because of alcohol. My birthday. Me going out to medieval times and him ordering doubles of whiskey things for my birthday when I knew he had a problem. And Easter. My first Easter away from my friends and my family, which I'm not a big celebrator of Easter, but I spend every Easter with my family. And just to have this happen, and then right after all this happens, I get back, my uncle FaceTimes me, and I have to act like everything's okay. And I have to be like, I love you guys, I miss you guys, try to be strong, not show on my face that anything's wrong with me. It was horrible. It was horrible. And them just being like, where's... Oh, god damn it, I'm gonna have to blur his name out. They're like, where is he? Like, happy Easter. And I didn't even want to show him. I was like, he's fine. It took me a really long time to leave because he was all I had. He was all I had, and I kind of depended on him. The courage and strength for me to grab my stuff and leave in a day, I closed off my emotions, and I just made it happen. I didn't even say goodbye. I said, I am leaving. And I did. The first week was really hard. Being by myself in a huge city. I'm a country girl. And being by myself in the city for the first time was terrifying. And basically, you will get through this. If you're planning on making a decision and you don't think you have the strength, yes, you do. I didn't think I had the strength. It took me so long. It took me so long to leave and to have the courage and do it. Because I knew it was what was best for me. What would my life have looked like if I stayed? Stressed, anxious, looking over my shoulder, thinking about what he's doing every waking hour or while I'm gone. That's not healthy. That's not a healthy relationship. And it's almost been a year later. And where am I now? honey, where am I now? I am so much happier. I'm almost 25 pounds lighter. I have my own apartment. I have a great, amazing group of friends that I have made. And I have a boyfriend. And what a 180, going from a horrible, toxic relationship to like one that's just better and better for your mental health. It's crazy. I always said after I left, I was like, I'm gonna be single for 5 years. No more relationships for me. But you can't help who comes into your life. And he came into my life at the perfect moment. And, you know, you just never know when it's gonna happen. And I did stay. I didn't move back. I stayed here. I am still in the same job. It's been nothing but positive things. And I feel like I can do anything. I have. Like, the things I've done this past year, I'm like, wow. Wow. I can't believe I did that. I just feel like I don't have that baggage, and I don't have that stress and worry. But that is just my advice. My advice for someone who is struggling and has loved someone to death, hoping that they would change and they don't change. Honey or man, they are bringing you down. You can't live like that. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't. I'm gonna be blunt right now. Where would I be if I stayed? I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine where I'd be if I stayed. And that's the tea. That is the piping hot tea, my friends. I am just better. And it took me a really long time to be better. I went to therapy. I'm still going to therapy. I went to therapy before I even left. It was like really like, what's the word I'm trying to say? It was great for me to go to therapy. And I still go. I still see her. And she's just watched me blossom. I still have my day-to-day anxieties and things that I freak out about. And I had PTSD for a lot of things that I had with him, my ex, that I still deal with sometimes, but it's not as bad. I remember the first moment I just had dread and just anxiety spike when I went grocery shopping, and I was grocery shopping for myself, and I was like, I'm gonna get a bottle of wine, I'm gonna get some Moscato. And I turn the corner and I see those huge bottles that he got for Easter. Immediate dread and sick to my stomach. It just came out of nowhere, and I was like, well, that's something I still have to deal with. Now it's better. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it gets so much easier. It's just like a breath of fresh air. So I'm hoping whoever's watching this, I hope that you could relate to me in some way. I do have people that did help me. I was gonna go to an Al-Anon meeting. There's a ton. If you just Google nearest meetings, they happen everywhere. And that's a big support group of people who are going through the same exact thing. And I didn't go. And I think that was my mistake. I kind of just looked on YouTube and like went to therapy, which was fine. But it wasn't the support that I needed. I needed support from people who were going through the same shit I was going through. Grace Chatting on YouTube, her whole series of Spouse of an Alcoholic is mind-opening. Like, you will relate to it so much and just be like, I'm going through that right now. Or like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Like, amazing videos. Another YouTuber is Love Over Addiction, and she had to leave her alcoholic husband, and it was just really nice and comforting to watch I wasn't married to him. I don't have kids, so I don't have that to relate to. That's got to be 10 times harder. And if you are in that situation where you're married and have kids, I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine what that's like. I can't. But you have to do what's best for you and your family. You have to. And yeah, things can only go up, truly. I am glad I took a stand. I'm glad I found the strength to leave, because I'm just so much happier now. I am. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I would love to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions in the comments below, maybe I'll make a follow-up video of, things that I'm doing in my life, or things that have gotten better, or maybe answering your questions. I'd be happy to help. And just have that online support system. It's me fist bumping. And I'm a really goofy, weird person. So if you want to see more of that, I'd be happy to oblige. But cheers. I hope whatever you're going through, I hope the situation you're going through gets better.